Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Demonologist UK podcast. I'm your host, Damon Penny, and I'm going to start off this week with I've got a couple of things I need to say, a couple of things to get off my chest. But yeah, this week's guest, we've got Mr. Robbie Crossan live from Haunted Scotland. We are, I think it's We Are Not Alone, or You're Not Alone. We're going to check that with him in a minute because it's been a long day. But yeah, I just want to send a shout out to all the demos out there, all the people that are following me on both the YouTube and on Facebook. I check my analytics before I come live, and I think it's like the third or second time I've done it, and the following and what people are doing for me at the moment is absolutely crazy. I cannot believe the support we've been getting. I've got 17 subscribers on YouTube at the moment. I'm looking to get to 100, and I'm going to do a special Demonology 101 show. And that's the plan. Don't forget, this Thursday I'm doing a live, well, not live, it's a recorded interview with UK Ghost Stories as well, talking about the stuff that I've been doing and the demonology side of things. So if you want to grab hold of that one, it'll be available. I'm going to speak to Rob about getting a copy of that and sticking it up on the page. So keep it up to that one. But yeah, this week we have Mr. Robbie Crossan on the show. We're going to bring him on right now. Click that one. How you doing, Rob?
Hello there, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. We had a little chat before and found out that Robbie's actually an actor, you know. So I'm going to go and get my autograph book. I'll be back in about 5 or 10 minutes. I wanted to ask you, like, so have you been on any like sort of like massively famous films or programs?
Yeah, I've been on Outlander a few times.
Oh, was that the series?
Yeah. I've also been on things like Still Game, which is a Scottish comedy.
Oh, okay.
I had a 10-second shot on the Avengers, the final movie, Endgame.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm watching that. I'm watching that in bed. I'm going to see if I can spot Robbie on that one. So everybody, make sure you do that. Come and spot Robbie up on there.
And there's a few things on Netflix I'm on as well. A film called Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
But again, it's only like very small. It's like just basically background stuff I do, really.
Yeah, it might be background stuff, Robbie, but you're putting yourself out there more than I mean, I can't actually sit there and say I've been in a Marvel movie. You can, do you know what I mean? So, just before we start, I've got to send shouts out to Louisa locked in, out to my mum locked in. Get well soon, mum. Mum's actually isolating at the moment. Her and dad and my brother have got COVID, so get well soon. And out to Annette as well. Welcome, Annette. It's good to have you on. And don't forget, guys, if you've got any questions for Robbie while we're going along, just stick them up there. I'll stick them on the screen. I'm sure Robbie will ask them. I've just got to say before we go any further, Robbie, you're an absolute legend on Facebook. You've always got me giggling. It's some of the posts are brilliant, mate. Honestly. But let's start. How we need to go on now. How did you get into the paranormal? I always ask all my guests to come on my show.
Well, ever since I was a kid, like, see how kids have got imaginary friends.
Mm.
Well, it seems mine's were kind of paranormal imaginary. They were.
Yeah.
People may have not seen them, but I did. And as I got older and older,
yeah,
it became more and more irrelevant. They weren't imaginary.
So
then, when I started, like when I was 10-year-old, I seen my first horror film, Poltergeist.
Oh then yeah, I posting up about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I realised, hold on a minute, maybe there is something there. Like, I mean, people can see and hear things, and other people can't. So, then when I was about early teens, I was out with family members doing things, and we all experienced the same kind of event. And that's when I realised I had an ability rather than an imaginary friend.
And so how did you sort of go from there? Did you sort of like, get your head in the book, sort of research, or?
I just started reading up on anything I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
Watching different kinds of programs and studying as much. But everything I do, it's trial and error.
Yeah.
It's like I'm teaching myself as I go along. It doesn't matter how, I mean, I've been doing it now 35, 36 years.
Wow.
And I'm still learning as I'm going along.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, I
I'm
mean,
sure the people that have been doing it for 50 and 60 years will still say the same. They're still learning.
yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, we're always on a learning curve with the paranormal. I was just talking the other day. I've done a guest blog for Out There Paranormal, which will be going up soon, on numerics in demonology. And I was
Yeah.
saying to Nigel over there, I was saying, like, you know, when you describe yourself as an expert or a specialist, you sort of presume that you've got nothing else to learn.
Yeah.
See, I would never describe myself as an expert or a specialist. You know,
Yep.
I am a demonologist, but I've still got so much to learn. I mean, and I think the same thing goes for you. You know, you never sort of get to the point where you're complacent enough to sit there and go, you know, there's nothing I need to know.
Yeah, well, my abilities, some people would call it clairvoyant, some people would call it psychic, or what's the other words? Empath, sensitive. I mean, I prefer the word empath to like a clairvoyant or a psychic.
Yeah.
I mean, you see people like Lorraine Warren, for instance,
Yeah.
or a guy up here called Frank Pilkington, one of Scotland's biggest.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they're psychics.
Yeah.
They trained for years and years. They studied, they took courses and whatever. I didn't. So for me, I would just go for the lowest, like,
Yeah. Well,
rung on the ladder.
when you actually look at the definition of clairvoyant, it's just, I think it's French for clear sight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, clairvoyant is not anything to sort of, you know, sneer at. I mean, if, like you said, like you see, you hear. I mean,
I can probably do the same things as they can, but it's just I never actually trained my abilities.
yeah,
I just let them develop as they go along.
right. Yeah, well, that I think personally in the paranormal world, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I think sort of training yourself is probably the best way to go. A lot of paranormal stuff is based around theory. You know, we have a lot of stuff that's fact, you know, stuff like witching hours and sage sticks and this and that. Like, the fact that they've been tested over time and they work. But I think that a lot of the paranormal that we do is based on theory, isn't it? It's based on
Yeah.
trial and error.
Well, what I do is I go into an event not looking for ghosts. I try and disprove as much as possible. It's only when I can't have like a rational explanation, that's when I decide, yeah, that is paranormal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people just jump in and they'll see things that can be basically explained as something else, but they'll say, no, that's a ghost or that's a spirit, especially these photos you see. But when you zoom into photographs and you clear it up using image enhancers, you can see there is another explanation for it.
My mum's saying personal experiences are important. I mean, I 100% agree on that. You know, mum was part of my team when we was an investigation team, and we used to use personal experiences as sort of like a learning curve.
Yeah. Well, it was only when I had an experience with other family members, that's when I thought to myself, right, it's time to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Hi, Jane. Let's send a shout out to Jane, HAPRC. I caught her show the other day. I don't know if you've seen it. The Lockdown Looney Show. Have you ever caught that?
No, I tend to only go to maybe 3 or 4 different pages. Yours being one of them.
Yeah.
And because a lot of them, I don't know, they're just a wee bit too fake for my liking, so I tend to stay away from 99.99% of them.
Yeah, I think it's personal choice. I mean, like with my show, I like to. It's more of a basis to get people on who have been out there and experiences. It's all great to get people on that have. I mean, I've got people on that have written books and that have done the background about it. But I like to get people on who are not as well known, who are making moves in the paranormal world. I mean, and you were saying when you was on the Paranormal Gathering that you guys are heading over to Edinburgh Vaults, or
I'm taking a group on the 27th of February, and we're getting a full lock-in. We're getting the full area to the vaults for ourselves. No one else is allowed in, and it's all access, so we're allowed into every nook and cranny of the vaults to do different experiments.
Brilliant. I mean, that's a dream come true. I mean, I think, because I know them as Nidri Street Vaults, because they're on Nidri Street.
It goes by different names. It's the South Street Vaults, Nidri Street. It's just Nidri Street is where the entrance to the vaults are.
Yeah.
and that's where we're going.
Now, I wanted to ask you, obviously, now, you're not in a different country, but you are. Just see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're in England, I'm in Scotland, different
Yeah,
country.
yeah. But when we look at sort of Scotland, Ireland, Wales, I mean, so much more than England itself. There's a lot of folklore and a lot of old stories that
Yeah,
are out there. Now, I
Celtic.
know at Nidri, there's the Stone Circle.
Yeah, that's one of the places I'm planning to do a couple of experiments there. One will be human pendulum, and the other one will be table tapping. I'm in
Yeah.
two minds whether to use the Ouija board actually in the centre of it or not.
Well, I'll tell you, the best person to ask that would probably be Sarah Penny, who's on the chat, which is my mum. She's a Ouija expert. She
Yeah.
actually has a 1932 Hasbro Ouija board, one of the original ones
Or one
developed.
of the original ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
it
I've
was
got
the it was the weirdest Christmas present I've ever bought my mum in my life.
that is worth its weight in gold.
Yes, yeah, it cost me a fair bit.
Yeah, my Ouija board is custom made. I designed it myself out of a 200-year-old oak wood.
Wow,
Solid piece of oak.
wicked. Wicked, because imagine the energies are in that. We talk about the stone tape theory, trees being
Yeah.
alive. You can imagine the energies that are in that board.
Yep. And I also believe that natural, I don't know, what would the word be? Rather than having something man-made like plastic, which a
Mm.
lot of Ouija boards are now made out nowadays, I prefer old school. I mean, I think
Yeah,
wood is a good item to suck up energy, especially if you're going into an area where there's an original wood flooring or original wood beams.
mm.
I mean, that would have the energy just the same as the Ouija board would, because I believe
Yeah,
trees at one point, well, the board at one point was alive,
yeah.
so it'll have its own energy connected to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's the theory of like auras. Obviously, anything that's living, anything that
Yeah,
can possess a living body or a living soul can produce some form of energy when it passes on. So,
yeah,
if you're talking about a 200-bit-old piece of oak, it's going to enhance all the spirit, all the physical that's touched it, any sort of emotional stuff that's happened around it. It's going to absorb that, which is going to give that board a lot more energy. Have you ever used that board and got like some results where you're like
I've used it
somebody's
twice,
yeah.
and I've had results both times.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes, I mean, there is. We may as well talk about it while we're on it now. There is a massive stigma around boards, using boards in investigations. You know, people go, "Oh, you don't use a board. This will happen. This will happen." You know, you'll encounter Zozo. I mean, if anyone wants to learn anything about Zozo, I've got another guest blog going up about it. My theory around Zozo, but I mean, from your side of things, you said you used boards twice on investigations. What's your sort of take
That
on
new
it?
board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
Well,
sort
it
of take?
depends. You've got to use the board properly. You've got to know how to use it. A lot of people just jump in
Hmm.
and they don't open the portal properly,
Yeah.
and they don't close it down properly. So for me, I've got a thing where I don't trust anybody that comes through it claims to be a child.
Yeah.
It's just I've always got a weird feeling about that. Because demons try and gain your trust by claiming to be children.
Yes.
So if they come through as a child, I'll just like it's a case of if you were under 18 when you were alive, bye bye kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, um, when it comes to boards and demons through boards, I mean, I personally believe Zozo is a mimic. For the guy, I mean, I'll go into more about that on another show because obviously I want to
Yeah,
concentrate on what Robbie does. But obviously, using that board, Kathy's saying that she's seen the board and it's beautiful. I mean, I've seen some boards out there that have been made and they're just amazing. They look amazing, but it's whether they work or not, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I believe every board will work as long as it's used properly.
Mm. Yeah,
And
no, I mean,
you can use anything to contact spirits.
yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
everything it's got anything made of natural fabric
Mm.
you can use as a to open up a channel.
Yeah,
In my theory, but it's how you use it. And a lot of people don't know how to use them properly. They just jump in and expect to get results right away, and they believe everything they see or hear.
Yeah.
Then also, if they see shapes, like their imagination kicks in, and they'll interpret that as something else without doing proper background checks
Yeah.
or proper research into it afterwards.
I mean, at the end of the day, like when it comes to boards and Ouija boards of that, I think corroborated evidence is probably one of the best ways to go. For instance, if you've got your Ouija board going, and it's spelling out a name, and the next thing you know, on a separate device, you get an EVP saying the same name, or you get EMF fluctuations, sort of confirming what you're getting.
Then what I usually do is the next day, once I've got the evidence, I'll write it all down. Then I'll do research. I mean, a lot of people do research before they go on an event. I prefer to do my research after I do the event, because I don't want to know anything about the area prior.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I've always hit a name at least once on every event, where it's came up on some kind of web searches. Yeah, that person was real at one point.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree about doing research afterwards. I had a team on, not last week, the week before, Spooks and Ghouls, who've done their research beforehand, but they kept it to one person. And then when obviously the information comes out, that's when they obviously spread it. I mean, there's different ways of doing it. I mean, me personally, I prefer doing the research after we done the investigation. Chelsea's asking. She said, "Does the Ouija board work off the App Store?" People say it does, but if you say
no,
can connect through anything, well, I'll let you answer that one, Robbie.
No, apps are, to me, apps are no more than games. It's no more than playing like Candy Crush. It's a program that's been generated to randomly pick out letters.
Yeah.
Rather than using a proper old school device.
It's true. I mean, if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, the reason why a Ouija board works. Now, bear in mind, I would say I'm a little bit spiritual, but I'm more along sort of the lines of, I like basing my stuff on reading and history. But if you look at the spiritual side of things, it's the energy you put into the board that gives you the results out, because the spirit then uses your energy to manipulate the planchette that's moving around the board.
Yep, totally agree with that. And with the apps, it's a random generator. It's a program somebody's created to randomly throw out letters.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I like to sort of refer anything, because I was going to ask you about this anyway, so I'm glad that we got onto this. But any sort of app on the mobile phone, don't get me wrong, there are times where it does give great bits of evidence. But I think that the problem with mobile phone apps within the paranormal is A, it's not receiving the energy it's supposed to receive, and B, it's generating a lot of false positives.
Yep, that's exactly. You're getting more false positives than anything else. And it's like, again, it's not using. I mean, when I use items, I can usually feel some kind of energy pass through me to the thing I'm holding. But with a mobile phone, I've tried it a couple of times. I've tried these free versions of like the Ovilus machines. And to me, it randomly spits out just words. It doesn't make sense to the area we're in.
No, and I wholly agree with that. I mean, when you talk about holding objects and reading the energies of the objects, you're talking about like psychometry.
Yeah,
and being able
it's got to be physical touch. I mean, if I go anywhere, I'll always touch walls. I'll touch wood. I'll even touch like tombstones just to connect. Then when I use my devices, obviously I'm touching that as well, so the energy connects to both.
James is saying, I think using your Ouija board personally will charge it more with your energy, so enhancing communication. I mean, I agree with that. I've had plenty of times when we've been out an investigation, or I've been to a case that I have open where I've used the communication board, not necessarily a Ouija board. There's hundreds of types of them, and when you get the circling of the planchette, it sort of increases the energy, gives the spirit more to work with.
Yeah, that's exactly. And you can do it with, you don't have to use Ouija boards. You can use like a tumbler and just put on a table yes and no. Or you can use dowsing rods to get yes and no. Pendulums, or you can use people. It's a human pendulum. I mean, it doesn't have to be a board itself. You can use basically any object you can get your hands on.
Yeah, no. I mean, 100% agree with that. I mean, communication is anything you make it. You know,
Yep.
you look at some of the experiments that people are doing now, where they're using I don't know if you know the ABC boards, where they actually write the alphabet and 1, 2, 3, 5, and then they point at each letter, and then they say, right, make a mark on the EMF when I point to the letter that you're referring to, and it flicks up, and they do it that way. I mean, communication with spirits is something that it's down to the environment that you're in at the time, isn't it?
Yeah. And the thing I like about it now, about this day and age, is the amount of tech you can buy.
Oh yeah.
And for instance, EVP machines are becoming really highly sensitive, and you can buy them really cheaply now. I mean, back when they first came out, you're talking about £300-400.
Yeah.
Now you can get a half decent one for about £60.
Yeah. It's becoming more accessible to investigators now. I think that's why the trend's been coming. A lot of people are out there investigating a lot more now. I do have to also state, you know, the skeptical side of things when it comes to Ouija boards and communication devices like table tipping and stuff like that. You know, the skeptics say involuntary muscle movements. It's your brain telling your body to move, but you're not even aware of it. So it's like on a subconscious level. I mean, personally, I've done spirit boards, I've done Ouija boards, I've done table tipping, and like you said, with glass divination, I've done that. And to me, it doesn't feel like involuntary muscle movements that are moving that.
To me, it's like a, how do you explain it? The only word I could suggest is like a small possession. Your body's been taken over to move it, and that's where the like the subconscious comes in. It's like someone's taking over that subconscious part of your mind and telling your body to move.
Yeah,
the planchette or the glass or whatever to wherever it's supposed to move.
It's almost like an out of body experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're doing it, you know. And I remember when we was at Kelvin and Hatch once, my partner was with me and my team, and we was doing a board, and we deliberately made everybody turn their fingers upside down, because obviously you can't push it with your finger now, to take away the whole involuntary muscular movements, and it's still moved.
Well, for me, I always look to see if somebody's fingernail goes white.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because I say to people, just use one finger, like your pointy finger, and just touch the planchette, nothing else. And I don't want to see, like, I'll look at the colour of their fingernail first, and I'll say to them, right, I don't want it changing colour. If it changes colour, then you're out, and we'll get somebody to replace you.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the last thing we need is somebody sort of forging paranormal activity, especially when you're out on investigation. I mean, when you look at things,
when somebody goes out and tries to force it or falsifies it, they're wasting their time, they're wasting your time, and if you're filming it live, you're wasting the audience's time.
Yeah. But I mean, I agree with that 100%. At the end of the day, you know, I think it sort of refers to your credibility, whether you're going to go out as a team and lie, or if you're going to be one of them teams that go out and pick up nothing and you get nothing. Okay, it's not entertaining for people that are watching or people that are there, but at least your credibility stays intact and people know that what you're doing is real.
There is a few times I've been out and got nothing, but then went back a few days later and the place lit up like a Christmas tree. It just depends, like, on how strong the energy is that day, and if they don't want to communicate with you, they won't communicate.
Yeah. James is saying, I'm always cautious on activity that can be easily influenced by people in the room who have direct contact with the equipment, and so you should be. At the end of the day, you know, for me, I like the stuff that cannot be manipulated by man. For instance, you know, you got your trifield meters. No one can manipulate a trifield meter unless you can physically see them by putting a mobile phone next to it, or, you know, doing a basically just trying to manipulate the EMF frequencies that are in and around the atmosphere. So that I try to sort of stay away from things like, especially dowsing rods. They're easily manipulated, you know.
Well, nowadays, the ones I've got, I've actually copper grips, and the dowsing rods actually sit in the grips, so you can't actually turn them unless you move your whole wrist.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
basically, the rods are suspended in like handles, kind of
Oh,
thing.
okay. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if there's any control measures that you can put in place for these experiments, it's probably best to do. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the footage from the human pendulum experiment.
Yeah, well, what we'll be doing is we can't film it live because the walls are
Yeah,
far too thick.
yeah,
So
they are. Yeah,
I'll be getting a few people to take cameras. I'll be taking like night vision cameras and that kind of thing with us.
yeah,
So we'll get people to film. We're going to start off doing like a couple of big group experiments with us all, just so they can all see things happening. Then I'm
yeah,
going to split them up into little groups, and they'll go and do their own wee things, because the Volks is 19 acres worth of caves, basically man-made caves.
yeah.
So everybody will go and do their own wee thing. We'll come back. I'll get all the footage, and I'll put the best bits, like kind of make an episode, a TV episode kind of thing.
Oh, that'd be
Then
good.
I'll upload it to YouTube, then transfer it from YouTube onto my page, and if the other groups that's coming with us will be putting it up onto their page too.
Yeah, no, it'd be good. And what I'd like to do as well, I was going to ask you this, is when you do your best bits and you put them all together, I'd like to sort of, because with the streaming that I've got now, I can actually play a video and go through it and sort of
Yeah,
give my perspective on it. I'd like to for your video at Niddy Revolts to be the first one that I do sort of this live reaction to
yeah,
evidence.
that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Yep.
So I'll definitely sort that out with you for another time. I mean, I'm quite excited now, actually.
Well, the day after it, some of us are going to go to, because there's a few people coming from England and Wales, because we're making it as a TV show.
Yeah.
Lockdown restrictions cover entertainment.
Yeah.
So we're allowed to do it. So the next day we're going to do a live event in Greyfriars Kirk, which is the world's most haunted graveyard.
Oh, brilliant! I'll definitely be locked into that one. What I might do is I might even see if I can restream it on the channel for everybody.
Yeah.
I'll get on the old Google and I'll see how I can restream it. It'll be good for people to watch it. I mean, like the internet has revolutionized the ways teams work nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
when I started, you had to go out, like you said, and spend £500 or £600 on a night vision camera. You had to get an infrared light and this and that, and then you'd have to go home and you have to edit the video. I mean, nowadays, you can just go with your mobile phone live on Facebook.
It's not just that. I've actually realised as well, but your ability can actually transfer through Wi-Fi. So I'm watching, for instance, there's a group called Redford Ghost Hunters.
Right.
They're based roughly around about Nottingham area.
Yeah.
And a few times they went out to areas, and I've been able to sense things happening in their live event. So I've posted a little comment telling them what I feel. Then seconds later, it'll come up on their meter exactly what I posted on the machine on their Facebook page.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm very skeptical about the whole transference of psychical energy over Wi-Fi, but that's just my personal point of view, and I'm willing to be proven wrong.
Well, as I said, I would never have thought it was possible until I experienced it for myself.
Yeah. I think that's a lot when it comes to the paranormal. I mean, once you experience it yourself, you solidify that sort of theory in your mind,
To me,
and you know.
like, if you want to go into the spiritual side of it, like, energy is universal. Everybody's connected through some kind of some paranormal field which we'll never be able to understand.
Yeah.
The way like twins have got like a psychic link with each other.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of the twin theory, yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody has got some kind of psychic ability. It's just how to try and concentrate and tune in to that kind of field.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you there. I mean, I understand the twin theory. It's just transference of psychical energy over Wi-Fi. But I am going to do my research onto that at some point.
It might not even be Wi-Fi. It's just because I'm watching it.
Yeah.
It might
I
be
get that.
The universal kind of link.
I mean, I
Because
get that obviously, because obviously, I mean, I know for a fact, obviously, psychics and clairvoyants can do that sort of that transference, almost like a spiritual transference, where they can put themselves or they can put their guide somewhere and give a reading off of them. I mean, I understand that. That's a form of Buddhist meditation technique. I get that. I mean, I'm going to look into it. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not possible because, like you said, you felt things and it's got confirmed. So there's part of my evidence already. But
yeah, it's
I'm
just
going to
that I
sort
don't
of,
understand how it works. All I know is it does work. I
yeah,
mean, if somebody say to me, "How do you do it?" or "How can you do what you do?" I tell them straight the truth. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm doing it. All I know is I can do it.
yeah.
Something somewhere is allowing me to do this, and I can do it.
No, it's cool. Right. So it's now that time. I've got a new part of the show that I like to do, which is called the perspective. This is when I get my little creation on. Uh, I like to. His name's DEREQ, right? Which is I know is a very very random name, but DEREQ stands for Devilishly Entertaining Random Entertainment Questioner. Now, DEREQ works in a way where I've got over, I think it's something like 456 different questions programmed into DEREQ. And what he does is he picks one at random. And what we do, Robbie, is we get your perspective on the question that comes up on the screen. So it's a bit of an on the spot thing. And
An
then,
AI interactive question
yeah,
answer session.
yeah. Derek. That's what Joe. I thought, what name can I come up with? And I thought, Joe, Derek, because obviously most haunted and Derek Akora and that. So I thought, Joe, what? Let's go with it. So, but what we're also going to do,
man, to be honest with you.
yeah, I agree. But it's a very associable name when it comes to the paranormal. So.
Yeah.
But what we're also going to do is another part of the show where I call on the spot. So what I'm going to do is every time I get a guest on the show, once they finish answering the question, I'm going to get you guys to add a question into DEREQ ready for somebody else on another show. So that's the aim. But first of all, we're going to start off with this one now. So DEREQ's going to pick a question at random. And the question is, do you believe in exorcism and do they work?
Yes, I do believe in exorcisms, and I believe they work a lot of the time, not all of the time.
Yeah.
I believe they do work most of the time.
I mean, when it comes to exorcisms, people have to understand that the rite of exorcism is a religious perspective on dealing with demons. There are ways of doing it.
Yep, but bear in mind, every religion has got its own form of exorcism, and every religion does it. And even every culture does it differently.
Yeah, I mean, Ben was telling me about, I was dealing with someone in Australia who had a demonic presence that was attached to a friend, and we was dealing with that, and he said try burning dried bamboo leaves, because obviously in their culture, with the Aboriginal culture, that's how they used to deal with exorcisms and how they used to, and it worked, and it was just like, wow, I've got so much to learn. And I mean, I know obviously about the rite of passage and stuff like that, but learning other cultures and the way they deal with exorcisms it's mind blowing.
Well, exorcisms have been going on for thousands of years, and every culture and every religion has got their own style of doing it. I mean, when like our side of the planet, when you say exorcism, you think of like the Roman Catholic version of exorcism.
Yeah.
But there's thousands of different religions out there, and each one has got their own way of doing it.
Yeah, and that's true. They do have their own way of doing things, and it does work. It does work. And these are proven rituals that have happened over many years as well. And that's the other thing.
I don't agree with them working 100% of the time. There is the odd occasion where maybe the entity is just too powerful for the person doing the prayer or the ceremony.
Yeah. No, I mean, agree. Right, so let's put you on the spot, Robbie. What question would you like to add into DEREQ so that a future guest can answer?
Right. That would be. Do you think a lot of religious organisations are based on things that could have came from other worlds.
Also, sort of like, talking about. So, do you think a lot of? Sorry, what was that?
It'd be a lot of religious beliefs are from off-world.
Our religious beliefs are from other worlds. So, sort of like the old ancient alien theory sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's a great question. I'm going to stick your name on that.
I mean, I'm big on like thinking outside the box.
Yeah,
for instance, the pyramids in Egypt, you've got pyramids in Peru, you've got pyramids in India, and they're all pointing to the same star system.
Yeah, no, you were saying that on the paranormal gathering that we had.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I've never ever thought of it being in that way.
If you look at like Native American paintings on rocks, if you look at African paintings on their rocks, even Aborigines, you've got, and even ancient Egypt in their hieroglyphics, you've got pictures. It's like humanoid bodies, but they've not got humanoid faces.
Yeah.
And then they've got things that look like spaceships or aeroplanes.
Yeah.
Like flying above their heads.
Yeah, and there's a really I read a really good book. I can't remember who it was by, but it was called Nazis and Conspiracies. Because I'm well heavily into World War II, but I'm also into history as well and conspiracies.
Adolf Hitler was a big conspiracy theorist himself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He believed in the paranormal and also off-world theories.
Yeah, and he also had his own personal medium that used to tell him whether he was going to win a battle or not. Yeah, but I read in there that Hitler himself, he went to the Mayan temple or some Sumerian temple that was in Eastern Europe when they conquered it, and he saw pictures on the wall of the bell-shaped UFOs, and he actually set up a paranormal psyop inside Bran Castle in Romania, where they were building something called the Glockenspiel.
Yeah,
which was the bell-shaped UFOs. And the idea was to have a self-propelling glockenspiel to be able to cause enough propaganda of fear in the enemy, so that they would then believe that the Germans have the side of the aliens.
Yeah, I believe there is something there. I mean, if you think about it, there's untold trillions of stars out there. No one knows exactly how many. Every star has got at least one planet. Now, 1% of those stars had planets, then 1% of those planets had some kind of life form. It's only natural that some of those planets would have life that are more advanced than us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they found a planet that we can physically live on. Nebula K22 is supposedly being...
They've found about the Kepler telescopes found something like 6,000 planets now, and about 2% of them are in what's called the Goldilocks zone, which means it's got liquid water, it's got breathable atmosphere. Wow.
I tell you what, I've never got into that side of things, but when you actually... I mean, they're obviously going to try. I mean, I'll tell you now, Richard Branson's going to be the first person to build a runway in one of those. I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, I studied astronomy for quite a long time, and astronomy with conspiracy theories. When I was in school, I wrote a paper. This is the early 80s about the possibility of life on Mars, and it was dying. Then they terraformed Earth, and somebody asked us, "How would they get here?" And I went, "Well, they probably." Developed either spaceships or some kind of Stargate. So I designed like a little circle thing. Then about 4 years later, Stargate SG-1 came on screen.
Yeah.
And it was roughly the same theory I had. So obviously there's more. There's at least, for every theory you've got, there's at least 2 or 3 people out there with the same theory as you.
Yeah. I mean, when we look at astrology and the way it goes now, we have just transformed into the realm of Aquarius, and they're saying it is the Great Awakening. It's now the part of the Great Awakening, and that whole Mayan calendar, when the world was supposed to end, it wasn't actually supposed to end. They were referring to the end of Pisces. Now we're going into Aquarius, and it's a Great Awakening. And I believe personally, with this Great Awakening, it's people being more acceptance to the paranormal, to the spiritual side of the world.
Yeah, but even with the Mayan calendar, according to the Gregorian calendar, there's roughly about a 6-year to an 8-year discrepancy.
Yeah.
Even at the Gregorian calendar isn't 100% right anyway,
No.
because it went from 1 AD, 1 BC to 1 AD. There was no zero.
Yeah.
So they say Christ was born in 1 AD. He died when he was 33 in 33 AD, but in 33 AD he would have been 34.
Yeah, it would have been,
so he
yeah.
should have died in 34 AD, not 33.
I mean, James is saying on the chat that the pyramids in Peru and Egypt are also built with a mathematical equation of pi.
Yeah.
Pi was not supposed to have existed back then. I mean, it begs the question, right? To the main two questions. The one that goes the argument for is the fact of these people had superior intelligence and already knew that pi or some sort of mathematical equation existed, or did we look at that the way that the pyramids are built afterwards and go, that is built on pi and it was just a pure coincidence? It's almost like there's an argument for or against a lot of these things. You know what I mean?
Well, for instance, pi came from Pythagoras' theorem, who was Greek. So how could countries in other parts of the world have the same mathematical equations if the person that invented it stayed the other side of the world?
Yeah.
When everybody at that point didn't realise other massive land masses existed.
Yeah. I mean, I said this to Ben the other week when we was having a chat on the phone because it was his birthday the other day, so I just want to wish him happy birthday. But I said that to him and he said, mate, you don't realise the boats were invented like way before that, and like people were sailing to America, Europeans were sailing to America before Christmas Columbus got there, and this and going to Brazil and that. You know, I mean, they can share information, but I mean,
yeah, well, China used to have a trade deal with the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Hundreds upon hundreds of years before Columbus, and so did the Vikings.
Yeah, no, I mean that's 100% true. I mean, I've read that. James, oh yeah, no, I've heard of this. James saying we're now in the 5th epoch, which is supposed to be the last final age of man. Well, from Jane, from what I've heard, from what I've read, each epoch that comes around is based on a different star sign. When Jesus was born was the sign of Pisces, obviously, and that's why we have the symbolism of the fish, because that's when Jesus was born. That's why we have the fish in Christianity. You know, there's loads of sort of things that sort of balance out and bump off of each other. But supposedly we're in the realm of Aquarius now. It's the realm where we're all supposed to be enlightened and awakened. And I'm just hoping that that's sort of towards the paranormal, because, you know, it would be nice if people start accepting what we do and not just pointing the finger and going, "You're a weirdo. You talk to imaginary people." Do you know what I mean?
I've been called a lot worse than a weirdo. I mean, it's got to the stage now. There's more weirdos out there, but there is sane people.
Yes, and that's what we was talking about a few weeks ago. How it's become acceptable to be an investigator now.
It's just that there's too many investigators. People jumping out. They watch one episode of Ghost Adventurers or Most Haunted, and they think they know everything because they've seen one episode.
I like to call them pits, and I know people are going to get really pissed off with me when I say this, but I call them pits. They stand for Plastic Investigation Teams.
Well, I must admit, when I went out to my first investigation, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And by the end, I was shaking like a leaf because I was seeing things and hearing things I didn't know possible. And one time, we started seeing things flying, things being thrown at us. So I said, I've got a tattoo on my shoulder, my left-hand shoulder. It's memory of my mum and dad, so it's like praying hands, and the hands are holding rosary beads.
Oh, okay.
And I've had the crucifix and the rosary bead scratched with 3 scratch marks.
Oh, well, I just done a paper on that, actually, how numerics come into negative and positive hauntings and stuff. I mean, I'll have to pass it over to you. You have to have a read and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Like loads of people posting up about this bit while we're talking about pits, plastic investigation teams. Jane Rowley saying we're all weirdos in this game. 100% agree with that comment. 100%.
It's like I've always grown up with sci-fi around about me. I mean, my first TV program I remember watching was Star Trek. So I was proud to be a geek before it was like popular.
Yeah. I mean, I think mine's down to personal experience when I first started, and it's just sort of gone from there. I mean, Kathy's saying she likes embracing her inner weirdo. I mean, I'm 100% with that. And Mum's saying too many people trying to be something they are not. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, people seem to think that going out and investigating is something that you can just, ring a few mates up, go out there, is anybody there, and then come home and have a good night's sleep. They don't realise the dangers that are involved when you go out investigating, do they?
Yeah, well, I've had a couple of times where I've went out and investigated, and it's took me days to recover. It's like, how do you, I call them paranormal hangovers. It's
Yeah,
like, have you ever been out one weekend and just drank for the full weekend and you've been ill for a week?
yeah,
It's the same
yeah,
feeling you get. Your head is pounding, you feel totally dehydrated, you get no energy at all.
mm,
And that's what could happen to you.
yeah,
And if you go out on an investigation where there's just too much energy in the area.
yeah. I mean, it's one of them things, isn't it? It's like, it's. I'm one of them people. If I get a flat pack from IKEA, I read the instructions before I start building it, and I compare that as a comparison to being a paranormal investigator. You need to do your research before you
Yeah.
go out there. You have to know about.
Well, what I suggest when I tell people who are going out for the first time,
Yeah,
don't research the history of the building before you go out. What you
no,
do is go out in daytime just to check for any dangers. Like you don't want to fall down a pothole or bang your head off something. Go
yeah,
out during the day, look at the area, try and figure out what parts would be the best places to investigate. If you get into a building, look for like rooms that look safe enough to go into. If there's any rooms that may look a little bit dangerous, stay away from the rooms.
mm,
Then what you do is mark on a pen or just leave a little stone or something at the
yeah,
door of each room so you know what room you're going into.
yeah,
Then when you go in at night, make sure you take all your tech, take spare batteries, because I've been to places where as soon as I've turned all my tech on, walked into, like for instance, there's a graveyard up beside me called Loudon Kirk.
yeah,
The first time we went there, we walked through the gates and half my tech drained as soon as we walked through the gates.
mm,
So do do the research of the area first. Don't do research of the history, just the area. Take spare batteries, and also never go alone. Always
yeah.
always go with somebody and document everything. The best thing to do is get somebody to write on a pen and a bit of paper
Mm.
everything you do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And at the end of the day, like, what I would say as well is trust your instincts. I mean, I had
Yeah,
someone comment on the show. I think it was a few months ago now, before Christmas, and we were talking about your favorite bit of tech, and someone said it's myself because my feelings and my emotions and my body is in tune to the environment, and
yeah.
it will let me know.
Trust your gut more than your tech. If something doesn't feel right, you get out.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, this is why people like me and Ben and all the other demonologists exist, because of the fact that people don't trust their gut and people like to open Ouija boards. And when we
Yeah,
talk about pits, these plastic investigators, they go out and they do these things and they create these attachments. And this is what it comes to. It comes to the point where you have to speak to someone like us to be able to get rid of it.
yeah, and it's sod's law. You've always going to get somebody out there that thinks they know what they're doing. They're going to go out,
Yeah.
then they end up going home with more than they arrived with.
Yep. Yep. And that is it. That is the thing. Right, Robbie, I'm going to go on to a bit part of the show called Favorite Experience. I want you to tell us about your favorite experience in the paranormal, whether it's good, bad, whether it's you falling down a hill. Just fire away, mate.
I've done a few of them. Well, the one of my favourite experiences was just a few months ago. I was invited to Gloucester Prison
Oh, yeah.
um,
Yeah.
with two other teams by a tech builder called John Tanner.
Yeah.
His company's now the world's biggest affordable tech builder. So we went down there. We spent about 8 hours or something inside the prison, and we came home with loads of different names. We had EVPs. We actually had things filmed on night vision, and the feeling in there was just, yeah, it was, your emotions were all over the place. It was just really, really exciting to be there.
Yeah.
It's like you had fear, you had fun, you had sheer horror,
Mm-hmm.
plus the people I met as well, because there was people from other teams. And with this kind of game, you make friends, especially when you do multiple group experiments.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
now with Facebook and social media, like for instance, that's how I met you and your organisation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've hooked up. You come on the Paranormal Gathering. I mean, I've been waiting to have you on the show for ages because you're a mine of information. I mean, when you dropped that bombshell on me on the Paranormal Gathering about the three pyramids, I mean, up to that point, I only knew the one pyramid, and then you just dropped me this three, and I was like, I'm going to research
Actually,
it.
you can actually Google map them. You can actually get them on. So yeah, if you Google map
Yeah.
the pyramids of Giza, turn
Mm-hmm.
them so you've got like the three. And when you turn them, you'll eventually see the three of them look with the belt on Orion,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? But if you do that with the pyramids in South America and the pyramids of Egypt, pyramids in India,
Yeah.
turn them around, their pyramids are also pointing to the exact same way.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the middle one, I've always got like a little window or a little hole at the side of the pyramid, and it's always pointing to Orion at a certain time at night.
Yeah. I mean, it's like an ancient mystery, isn't it? It's like something you never actually know. I mean, there's probably people out there that do know the reason why it's like that. But I like these things to stay as a mystery. Some things are just best left alone. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I suggest to people if they want to like learn, watch all sorts of TV programs. Don't just watch ghost hunting programs.
Mm,
Watch things like The Unexplained, or there's other like YouTube, Amazon, Netflix is full of conspiracy theory kind of things.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
And
that's something that's my alter ego. As much as I'm concentrate on demonology and I read all the books on demonology, my other alter ego is conspiracies because I think paranormal and conspiracy they do go hand in hand.
yeah, because with that you've got to use a lot of common sense with the paranormal. I mean, like for instance, I could look out the window just now and I could see a shape, a
Yeah,
face, but I know it's just the reflection of my lights.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I can see what you see is like never trust your eyes, always trust your gut.
Yeah, 100%. And when you talk about obviously conspiracy theories, a lot of these conspiracy theorists, i.e., Sam Tripoli, you've got people like Mika Dance, you've got people like Isaac Weishaupt. These guys, they work on a spiritual level as well. This is what people don't realize is people see these people as like anti-vaxxers and they see these people as like 9/11 truthers and stuff like that. But what you got to remember is that these people actually are working on a spiritual level and they're talking about something like almost an alternate realm, and they have to be working on that spiritual level to sort of get these conspiracies.
Well, talking about alternate realms, I also believe in the multiverse theory.
Yeah, there's something to do with Hollow Earth as well and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I believe there's as many universes as there is parallel universes, but there is stars in our universe.
yeah,
Each one is identical with a very slight difference. For
yeah.
instance, there'll be a universe with another Robbie Crossan, but he's got hair.
Yeah, yeah. I always say to my partner, I think it takes somebody who's very one-track minded to look up at the stars and think they're the only person
Yeah.
who exists. There's not someone out there doing exactly the same thing that looks exactly like you, has got exactly the same name at exactly the same time.
Well, it's this the thing as well. I believe like when I try and explain the paranormal to people, I explain it just that way. Think of it as another universe,
Yeah.
but there's a door. It can be opened between our universe and theirs. And when
Mm,
somebody passes away, the door opens for them to pass through it. Sometimes they'll
exactly.
go through it, sometimes they won't.
Yeah.
And the ones that do pass through it can sometimes come back if they wish to visit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's the way it is. At the end of the day, to sort of to accept the paranormal, to accept conspiracies, you are working on a different plane. I mean, you're talking about a different part of the brain being used, you know, opening your subconscious. You mean a lot of these people that do conspiracies are into, like, you know, spiritualism and meditation and thinking outside the box, and that's what we do in the paranormal. We think outside the box.
You've always got to think outside the box. You've always got to think, what could it be, because you can't explain it logically. And talking about the brain, humans only use 10% of their brain.
Yeah.
What's the other 90% used for? And if we learn how to use that, what we could be able to do there.
I think it was Stephen Hawking that said if we can unlock 17% of our brains, we're able to manipulate matter.
Yeah. Well, when you look at people that can, like, they call them magicians, but there is people out there that can bend matter.
Yeah.
Probably bend tight. I've seen people like stop watches with just staring at them.
Yeah. There's a film based on that. There's like the men who stare at ghosts. That's based on the whole telepathy theory.
Yeah. I mean, there's only, as I said, if 10% of the brain is nothing.
Yeah, it isn't.
Even if we'd used, like, people with abilities, there's a part of the brain that's been activated, and we don't know how it works. All we know is it does work.
Yeah.
But what's the rest of the brain for?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like I always say to, you know, people and my children, that, I mean, knowledge is power, but it's got to be applied knowledge. Knowledge that's going to be worth something. It's no, I'm a mind of useless information. I know things that I shouldn't do, but in the day.
And like a lot of people in my generation, we actually learned more outside the school what we did in.
Yeah.
Because we went out to the real world and learnt as we went along, learnt in the job kind of thing.
Yeah. It's sort of like learning from experience almost. Yeah, I agree with that.
The more you get, the more experience you've got, the more knowledge you control.
Exactly. And the more applied knowledge you've got, the more power you have.
Yeah. And that's why I'm thankful for, like, Facebook, because now I'm looking at people, like the groups I do watch, I'm watching them and I'm picking up little tips I would never have thought of when you're out investigating.
You're learning from other people, and that's what the thing is. I mean, that's what we do when we read books.
It's just subtle tweaks to an investigation that can make it more fun.
It definitely 100% agree. Just one more quick question from Jane before we do the big plug. If you put religion to one side and just work with energy, do you think demons and angels would still exist?
Yeah, they'd just be known as different names.
Yeah, 100%. I sort of put this in the context of we as humans would still exist, and there is good and bad in humans. You know, we have to have a balance. The universe always has to be balanced. So, like Robbie said, there would be demons and angels, but it'd just be known as different names.
It's just that as humans, we've got to logically give things labels.
Yeah, we have to.
For instance, God, the devil, black, white, everything's got polar opposites.
Push and pull, night and day, yin and yang.
There is negative energy and there's positive energy.
Yeah, exactly.
And negative energy is demonic, or just people that were born bad or became bad through a choice. Then positive energy is angels, good people, like spirit guides. And I know a lot of, like, I believe in spirit guides, and I believe everybody's got somebody connecting them. Remember I said to you, you had somebody standing behind you one day?
Yes.
Well, he's still there. He's actually just to your right. It's at the side where your hands point to your eye. He's just behind you at that side of you.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, and I think it's somebody that's connected. He's not actually connected to you. I think he's more connected to the house.
More than likely. What people don't realise is where I am. The house directly sits on top of cross ley lines, so we do get quite a lot of traffic through here. I mean, I actually met my partner because the house was haunted, so it's quite cool, actually. Yeah.
Well, I think he must still be haunted then, because there's definitely an elderly gentleman there. He's possibly died in the house.
More than likely, it's been here for a long time. I remember. Yeah, I mean, when I come here to do my investigation, how I met my partner as well, there was we would pick up on a man and stuff like that. I mean, I'm aware of things happening here, but to me, it's like it's got comfortable now almost. They're almost like my little pets.
Yeah, he's part of the family. But a lot of people nowadays think using sage works to get rid of spirits.
No.
It doesn't. It's got to be frankincense and maybe mixed with a little bit of myrrh.
Yeah, and if you're going to use sage, I've always said it can't just be white sage or this sage or that sage. You mix it. You do like little, I call them cleansing cocktails. The double C's, the cleansing cocktail.
Yeah.
You can mix sage, but you need to mix it, like you said, with frankincense, with myrrh.
You've got to use extra virgin olive oil, cinnamon, and other kind of like exotic herbs.
Yes, I always say stick with black sea salt. It's actually more of a cleanser than any sort of herbal. Black sea salt, blessed black sea salt, really works. I mean, I'm not a religious demonologist. I mean, I use religion as a tool. It's almost like a tool in my toolbox. But you can't go wrong with black sea salt, blessed black sea salt. It's amazing.
You don't need to get a priest to bless it.
No, you don't.
My theory is, if like for instance, I was brought up Roman Catholic. I was meant to become a priest.
Yeah.
But the more I learned about cardinal law, the more I realised their theology is totally different to mine.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, they're like the Masons. It's a man's club, a secret society. They're bigoted. They're homophobic. They're sexist.
Yes.
So my theology is more in line with what's called the Old Catholic religion.
Yeah.
And there's now a faction called the Old Catholic Church, mostly in America. A lot of their bishops and some of their cardinals broke away from Rome.
Yeah.
And created their own church. And they accept anybody regardless of gender, orientation, or who you were before, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I prefer equal rights, so I'm more to that kind of side. And my theory as well is if you believe in God, you can bless your own items.
100%.
You just need to say a prayer over it. I mean, I make my own oil of chrism, which I use to bless. I mean, I use it to bless houses. Well, that's like every house I've been in, I've used it to bless. For instance, I've said to you about using it to bless your house. Also use it if someone feels like if we're going out on an event and someone feels a wee bit scared and need protection, I'll just make the sign of the cross on the forehead with some.
Yeah.
Just to give them that little bit extra protection.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Anyone can bless anything that as long as they have that belief system. I mean, me personally, I don't have that belief system. If anything, I would say I wouldn't even label myself with a religion. I'm so confused. But like you said,
you've got to believe in some kind of higher power to create the Big Bang to create us.
Yeah, no. I believe that there is some sort of higher power. I'm more. I suppose I don't know. I'm just a lost soul wandering through the netherworld. I suppose. I'll find my way one day.
If you believe in the paranormal and you believe in demonology, then you've got to believe something created that.
Yeah, and I do believe something. I don't know what created it. I do believe something created it, and I do believe the human soul.
No one alive believes in it. It's just blind faith. We'll find out once we pass over.
100%. 100%. Kathy's saying she grew up around Native Americans. Sage and sweetgrass is what she was taught to use. Yeah, that works.
Yeah,
that works.
I suppose it depends.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, I suppose it depends on the sort of spirit you're dealing with. It's almost as if, like you're saying, like a person's religious belief. Certain things, but like I said to you, when I've done that case in Australia, burning the bamboo leaves helped with the Aboriginal demon that was out there. I suppose it depends, doesn't it?
I mean, I use white sage in the house, but I only use it as like other people would use lavender or rose petals or potpourri. It's just to bring a smell into the house.
Yeah,
it's no for anything spiritual or to get rid of demons.
It's crazy how many people you turn around and they go, I love the smell of sage. I can't stand it. I hate it.
For me, it's sage, lavender, and jasmine. That's my three favourite scents.
Yeah. Yeah, I like opium. Like, we got these insect sticks that are opium. When you burn them, they smell lovely.
Then you're ready fridge.
Yeah, yeah. And then when you go and light up the dragon's blood after that, then we're proper tripping. I mean, we're going to get on to the last bit of the show now anyway, because
Yep.
we've got to get to the last bit. Now, this part's called the big plug. This is where you get to just tell us what you're doing, tell us what you're up to. I mean, you've already told us about the investigation you got in February, but you can tell us again and fire away.
Yep.
Tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Right. Well, my group's called Haunted Scotland. We are not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And we've not really done much over the last year and a bit because of COVID.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has, mate.
Yeah, so I think that's the same with everybody. But I have got something in the pipeline. I'm trying to get a production company to take on an idea I've got.
Oh, right.
But my Facebook page is there. I post videos of like other groups. I'll be posting this video after it. Yep, that's it.
That's the one.
So I'll be posting this video once I come off. But I post I post just like random things I pick up from everywhere about paranormal things. It's been reported in newspapers or other Facebook pages or personal experiences. And sometimes I'll put up just random information about buildings or areas around Scotland, America, England, and Wales, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But hopefully, once COVID is over with and it's safe to do so, we'll be going out at least once a week.
Brilliant.
With a team just going up and down the country. I mean, I've got loads of different places I want to visit. Scotland is full of history. Yeah. We've got hundreds upon hundreds of castles. On April, I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but in April, I was wanting to go up to Culloden.
Yeah.
Because this year is the 275th anniversary of the battle, and the battlefield still has roughly about 1,500 to 2,000 bodies buried in mass graves, unmarked graves.
Wow.
And you can see them when you walk about. When you walk into the area, no birds will fly over it.
Crazy.
When you walk into the actual battlefield area, you can actually see, it used to be all flatland, but now there's mountains everywhere. Those mountains are where the bodies are buried.
Wicked.
And so I want to go up there on the anniversary. I usually go up once a year, and I dress in full Jacobite gear, battle gear. I go up to pay my respects to the like, as we say, my fallen kin, like the people that fell during battle. But I also want to go back at night and do an investigation, because it's been reported you can, each night when people walk by with their dogs, you can hear screams, you can hear metal clashing, you can hear pistols firing.
It'd be great to get some EVPs of that, wouldn't it?
Yep, so I'm thinking about going up there on April. If I do it, that will be another live stream.
Brilliant. I mean, we'll look out for that. So don't forget, guys, check out Haunted Scotland. The link is just down below. I'll also have a link on the YouTube channel to Robbie's page. And yeah, I've checked out the page, man. There's some really, really cool stuff on there.
And I'm also going to start doing guest events as well, where members of the public can come. For instance, during the Edinburgh Volts, that's just my group and 3 other groups that's going to go.
Right.
And we're doing a multi-group kind of thing, but I'm going to open it up to guests. So if anybody wants to come, they can buy a ticket, meet us there, and we can spend 6 hours investigating. But I'm going to do that with different areas around Scotland as well.
Yeah.
There's loads of castles, there's loads of graveyards, there's a couple of old asylums I want to try, because hospitals, asylums and prisons are the best places to go to for connecting with spirits, because it seems in my mind the more people that have suffered in life, the more their energy is tied to that area.
Yeah, and you've also got across the road from Nidri, you've got Queen Mary's Close as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've actually contacted them. They won't let us in until after COVID's over and done with, because technically it's still a public area. You can walk through the bottom of it. You just
Yeah.
can't get into any of the buildings.
Yeah.
But with Nuddy Street, because that's like an area. Basically, Edinburgh's built on a series of hills and an old volcano.
Yeah.
So to try and make it street level for everything, they built a series of bridges. And under each of the bridges, they've got caverns and
Yeah.
little rooms. And Nidry Street area was is where they used to house immigrants that came down from the Highlands or came up from England or Ireland.
Yeah.
Like cheap housing. Then it became shops. Then the criminals moved in. So there's been a lot of murders and a lot of deaths inside those vaults.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you look at the history of it, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Scotland is a very, very haunted place. But guys, don't forget to check out Robbie's website. The link is underneath. This video we get posted up on my page, which is underneath as well. So make sure you check that out as well. But yeah, Robbie, that's all we've got time for this week. We've actually run over. So I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. It's been absolutely brilliant. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I mean, what we're going to do is when you get that video uploaded of when you're at the Nidry, I'm going to do a live reaction of that 1 week. We'll sort that all out, and I'll contact you, and we'll get it all sorted.
Yeah,
might even see if we can free up one Friday night, do a live stream, and have me and you on there both at the same time while we do sort of do the video. It'd be quite cool.
Yeah, well, that would be roughly about the first 2 weeks in March. By the time I get everybody's videos put together.
Yeah, you know,
I've got several years since I've edited something, so I need to relearn how to do it again.
I mean, I don't think I'm going to start free until the end of March anyway, so we'll sort something out. We'll definitely sort something out.
Yeah.
So, all right, then, Robbie, mate, you've been an absolute excellent guest, and thank you for coming on the show.
Yep, thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Take care, mate. So, yeah, that was Robbie Crossan on the show from Haunted Scotland. We are not alone. Once again, the link is underneath us. Don't forget to check out my YouTube page. I am actually in the process of getting a link for that one. Also, don't forget, next week, shall be on my own. Just me on my own next week. So we're going to be talking about conspiracy theories linking in with the paranormal. We're going to be talking about all these different sort of theories that we have. We're going to be talking about demons. We're going to talk about conspiracies. We're going to be talking about I want to talk about Salem. I want to talk about Lilith. I want to talk about Zozo and some of the theories I have between that. So next week's show is literally you just got me on my own. Massive Q&A. Whatever questions you want to ask, I'll be here answering them. The week after, we've got my favorite guest, Mr. Ben Winfield, on the show. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's locked in tonight. Kathy Adams, Jane Rowley, that's my mum, out to my partner who's been sitting here listening, out to everybody that's been locked in. I mean, like I said to you at the beginning of the show, the analytics don't lie. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Also, if you want to subscribe to the new monthly newsletter where I'm going to be sending out shows that are coming up that you need to watch, any sort of research that I've been doing, some evidence that's been posted up on Facebook, I'm going to be doing a monthly newsletter. To sign up to that, head over to my page. At the top of the page it will say email me. All you have to do is click that link, send me over your email, and then I'll add you to the list, and you'll get an email every month. But once again, guys, I've been Damon Penny. This is this week's Demonologist UK podcast and live stream. Thanks again to Robbie Crossan. Don't forget to check out Haunted Scotland. And I'm out of it. Till next week. Take care, everybody.